Hi, my name is Fatima Abdul and this is my overview video for AB 624. I'll be discussing my SAFMEDS data over the past few weeks of this course. As you can see here with deck 1, 2, and 3, they were all ascending trend lines and my ACell trend lines. For deck 1, I was able to hit the aim band by the start of the second week and make consistent upward progress. My decel score was also, I was also able to get a lower decel score down to 0 and maintain that 0 trend across all of the decks. For deck 2, I was able to hit the aim band pretty early into the first week and make consistent upward progress as well with an ascending trend line, ACell trend line, as you can see here. My scores even at one point got past the trend line, past the aim band, and this was mostly because there was more time that I had to spend on this deck and also the larger amount of cards. So that was deck 2. For deck 3, the progress was a lot slower, as you can see, but there was still upward progression of my ACell trend line, and then at the end it plateaued with all 16 cards being completed in the time period, and on every day for this last week, my scores remained steady and consistent in that range, and my decel trend line across all decks was steady and consistent as well. For fluency deck 1 and then fluency deck 2 data, my scores varied, but there was also an ascending trend line, ACell trend line, and a steady and continuous decel trend line. And then for fluency deck 2, also an ascending ACell trend line. I was able to hit the aim band by week 6 with the addition of the deck 2 cards, and then it plateaued at the end as well, completing all 22 cards in the 30-second time period. My decel trend line also remained steady and continuous at 0. So that was my SAFMEDS data. I was able to progress consistently upwards because of the study methods and interventions that I put into place. Mainly my new deck study method, where every time I implemented a new deck, I would separate the cards into same terms and make little piles. So I would study each same term cards, about 4 of those, until I got that concept down. And then I'd put more and more together until I have completed the entire deck and studied all of the terms. And then I would run a large untimed trial where I would go through each card and answer them. And by the end of that process, which took about maybe an hour or two, because I would spend a lot of time studying the initial implementation of the deck, I felt confidence in the material, I would do my timed trials. This large study technique only happened at the beginning of implementing each new deck, and my other adjustments would have been to do untimed trials before the start of each time trial. So I'd run through each deck before I start my time trials at least once. And if I felt like I needed to make my ACell scores higher, if like I was stuck at a point, I would also do 2 untimed trials, so run through the deck twice before running my time trials, and I would also increase my time trials from 5 times to 10 times. By the end of all of this, I was sure to make upward continuous progress in my ACells, and my D-cells stayed at 0. Another study strategy of mine was to make sure that my workspace was decluttered and clean so that it would not distract me. I would remain focused and my mind would be in the right frame to focus on my work. I also tried to study and do my SAFMEDS before I started any of my other work for that night so that I was not mentally tired. This really helped because I found that when I did it afterwards, I would score lower and have to put more effort into making progress upwards. I will continue to stick to these methods because I'm able to achieve all of my goals of making continuous upward progress, hitting the aim band, and doing well overall and covering all the material and retaining the material for the decks as I can see based on my final score. And So this is my SAFMEDS progress and my study methods and adjustments for this course so far, and I was able to achieve all the goals that I set. Thank you very much.